Looking slim, Dale.
Thanks. Hey, could you help me lift this?
Yeah, sure thing, buddy.
He lost weight, but he also lost muscle mass, and it's probable he'll regain the weight when he stops the shots. Lose weight the healthy, strong, permanent way with Almaced, the superfood protein shake that nourishes your body properly with bioactive peptides and natural amino acids that optimize your metabolism, not harm it. Feed your body and watch it change for good. Learn more at almaced.com.
Spring is calling. Weddings, patio sessions, barbecues, and you want that drink vibe without sacrificing tomorrow. That's RK Zero Proof. As the world's first zero-proof spirits brand, RK created the warm molecule, giving you the smooth kick of whiskey or tequila with zero alcohol, 0 calories, 0 sugar, and all the peace of mind you need to enjoy every moment. Step into the zero-proof season at rkzeroproof.com.
Spring is calling. Weddings, patio sessions, barbecues, and you want that drink vibe without sacrificing tomorrow. That's RK Zero Proof. As the world's first zero-proof spirits brand, RK created the warm molecule, giving you the smooth kick of whiskey or tequila with 0 alcohol, 0 calories, 0 sugar, and all the peace of mind you need to enjoy every moment. Step into the zero-proof season at rkzeroproof.com.
Hello and welcome to the Irish NFL Show. My name is Shane Brennan, and this is always a special week for NFL fans because of the NFL schedule release, but for us international fans because we know who's coming on our side of the Atlantic. So for a special week, we have to have a special guest. So I'm delighted to welcome to the show from NFL Network, Brian Baldinger onto the Irish NFL Show. Brian, how are you?
Shane, I'm good. It's good to be with you. I just kind of looked at the international schedule, up to 9 games now around the world, starting in Melbourne, Australia. I'm a big fan of the international games. Played in the first one as a member of the Dallas Cowboys 40 years ago in 1986 at Wembley. And so I always get a real charge because I know the fans do too. And I know these tickets don't last very long.
No, they don't. I imagine it must have been weird for you to go over in 1986. I mean, like the knowledge of American football back then is nothing compared to what it is now. It must have still been a fun experience for you guys.
It was exactly that. It was a fun experience and the fans knew nothing. It was raw. They didn't understand why that little man walks onto the field to see how far he could kick a ball. They didn't understand why we have to huddle up every play. Like, don't you know the plays already? Like, there was just, it was cute. It was cute and it was fun. And I think we all really enjoyed our time over there.
Yeah, it's a cute and fun compared to now where there's like a great scramble for tickets. I know, for example, there's a huge amount of Eagles fans going to try and get over to London for one of the games. I mean, this time of year must be pretty exciting for you. Obviously, we've been part of NFL Network for so long as well. When it comes to the schedule release, people put so much weight on the importance of schedule and things like when your bye week is and all that. So what kind of things do you look out for at this time of year when you see some crucial teams trying to release their schedules over the course of the season?
Well, I mean, we got 9 international games. And so are these teams coming back from these international games and playing the next week? Because that travel can be a problem. Not everybody can take a week off. So that's one. The teams that have to play on the road 2 or 3 weeks in a row, we see that sometimes. So that's a scheduling quirk. They try to make things about as even as possible. Some teams will, with 17 game schedule, some teams are going to get 9 home games, some are only going to get 8, looking at some of those things. You're looking at the division games and when they are and when they arrive. Do they arrive early in the year, like, week 1, Dallas and the New York Giants, on Sunday night, or do they arrive later in the season when those games seem to be magnified a great deal more with, division games counting for a lot more in seedings and who's going to win the division, that kind of thing. So the same things that other people kind of look at. I have friends of mine that have travel agencies now, and they start booking these games, not just international games to Rio de Janeiro, but games over to Europe and games within the United States. And like, I think more fan bases are traveling now than ever before. It's a destination thing. And so teams, if you're in Philadelphia, it's December and they got a game in Tampa, there's going to be some charter flights going down to Tampa to watch that game.
Absolutely, is to see hopefully some. It's nice just to sort of break out of the snow. It's what we love watching the snow games and everything. I imagine for those Philadelphia fans, it's a nice break. Let's talk a little bit about the draft and who you think sort of comes out, because I remember last year there's been a lot of conversations and some people suggested the Seahawks were one of the teams that didn't necessarily get the headlines, but they had a sneakily good draft, and as it proved, with a lot of key parts that built up towards their Super Bowl winning season. When you're looking at the way this draft has played out, is there anybody who has impressed you in particular?
Well, I think a number of teams did. I think, when you look at the Cleveland Browns and what they were able to accomplish right now, for second year in a row, they had a great draft last year, but you just kind of look at, the guys right now, and you look at Spencer Funnell. All right, they trade down from 6 to 9. They get the number one offensive tackle, the first tackle taken. They've rebuilt their offense line. They have 5 new starters this year, but they need a left tackle. They get Funnell. Then they get Casey Concepcion, just a great slot receiver. And then they go out and they get, Denzel Boston, who's a big receiver, whoever's playing quarterback. And then they get Emmanuel McNeil Warren at safety, a guy that a lot of people thought was a first-round pick. And they get Austin Barber, who's, really a versatile offensive lineman. I just thought Cleveland did really well. I thought Pittsburgh did well. I know people want to look at that video of, the Eagles jumping, and trading with the Cowboys and jumping the Steelers and taking Mekhi Lemon after they made the phone call to Mekhi Lemon. But they got Maxi Conacher, and he has a good chance to start him, along with Jennings Dunker. That could be the starting left side to the Steelers offensive line. They lost Isaac Seumalo in free agency. They need a left guard. Jennings Dunker is going to be a guard. They might very well start at the left guard and left tackle position. But then, Drew Aller, like I've already been reading about how much he's got a top flight arm as it is, but just let Mike McCarthy work with Drew Aller. And who knows? I don't know maybe you got some inside information here, Shane, you'd like to share it with me, but I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is playing or not playing. So someone's going to play quarterback, and maybe his name isn't Aaron Rodgers. And I just think Drew Aller hasn't been coached very well at Penn State, and he was hurt. I'd like to see what he looks like. And then, to go get Eli Heidenreich, from the Naval Academy, just an everything. They just got 10 or 11 picks, and I like every player that they drafted.
As much as the Steelers have sort of Brandon says being Aaron's team, I haven't got any inside information on Aaron Rodgers. I have a funny feeling a lot of people in like Rodgers' close circle doesn't really know where he's landing on that. But it's a very good point, and it's one I thought of as well when that pick was made in Drew Aller. That is there a potential where whoever he's sitting behind, he gets time to get really good working with them. With Coach McCarthy in there. It's a different system what they have in Pittsburgh now, and it must be just a real sort of fundamental change that we're expecting from Pittsburgh, and you're seeing that now in how they're really valuing good offensive line talent and trying to put more into the offense, because one of the complaints about the Mike Tomlin era for Pittsburgh is hey, it's always close, but it's never entertaining, it's never flash, they never seem to really put the strength in the right places. It definitely seems like the offensive mindset is changing there. You could see that with some of these draft picks.
I agree with you. And I think it's important. I think James Campen is a new offensive line coach. He played for Mike McCarthy in Green Bay, became a coach. I think he's a very good coach. And I think Pittsburgh needed to upgrade their coaching staff. And it was not on Mike Tomlin, but I would agree with you. I didn't feel like they were doing anything that, Aaron Rodgers, obviously has 20 plus years of experience. So, he's going to do some things that other guys don't know how to do. But I didn't think there was a lot of ingenuity in how they called offenses or defenses for a long time. It was one of the reasons why they hadn't won a playoff game, in a long time. And so I think Mike McCarthy is going to be some fresh air. But, you look at, a guy like, Drew Aller, I just think, and a guy like Riley Nowakowski from Indiana, like Riley is probably going to take over for Connor Haywood in that role as sort of an F-back and fullback and tight end. He was excellent at Indiana in that. I don't know if Indiana wins the national championship with what Nowakowski did. And so, I think this offense is going to look a little bit different. You'll see a lot of play action passes. And, whoever is at quarterback, all of the guys, all the young guys, whether it's Howard or Mason Rudolph or Drew Aller, they all have strong arms. They're all big. They're all 6'5". They're all 235 plus pounds. They're all big with a big arm. And that's kind of what Pittsburgh is known for. And so now it's a question of making good decisions with the football.
Spring is packed patios, parties, wedding weekends, and RK Zero Proof keeps you in the mix without the morning after regret. As the original Zero Proof Spirits brand, RK's Warm Molecule gives you that real deal burn of whiskey or tequila with none of the alcohol. 0 calories, 0 sugar, and a whole lot of freedom to enjoy the moment. Sip smarter this season at rkzeroproof.com. Spring is calling, weddings, patio sessions, barbecues, and you want that drink vibe without sacrificing tomorrow. That's RK Zero Proof. As the world's first Zero Proof Spirits brand, RK created the Warm Molecule, giving you the smooth kick of whiskey or tequila with 0 alcohol, 0 calories, 0 sugar, and all the peace of mind you need to enjoy every moment. Step into the Zero Proof season at rkzeroproof.com.
This podcast is supported by the original organic bedding and bath brand, Koyuchi.
Koyuchi has spent 35 years pioneering quality organic textiles, long before the word organic became, trendy. But words matter to Koyuchi. Words like craftsmanship, longevity, and wellness. So what does the word wellness mean to Koyuchi? It means that all of our products are absolutely free from harsh chemicals and dangerous toxins that can seep into your skin. It means effortless style that looks as good as it feels with naturally breathable, pre-washed organic cotton. And what does all of that mean to you? Well, it means that you can sleep well in Koyuchi's crisp, cool, luxuriously soft sheets that are ethically made and made with you in mind. Live well, sleep well with Koyuchi. And now during our Memorial Day sale event, you can enjoy 20% off organic cotton sheets, towels, and everything else at Koyuchi.com. That's Koyuchi.com for 20% off from now until May 25th. Koyuchi.com.
I want to go back to what you were saying about the Cleveland Browns, because again, we can look at what they did in the draft. As you mentioned, Spencer Fano, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston coming in there as well, a very interesting pick. I feel like sometimes people sit back but just because they see the badge and they know the history of the Browns, not that they're written off, but there isn't maybe as much expectation as the talent on the squad maybe merits. And look, Todd Monken is coming in there now, having been offensive coordinator at Baltimore, a good record in Georgia as well, as a kind of young coach with young players. And look, I got 2 young quarterbacks in the roster. We're not quite sure which one is going to be starting, let alone week 1 or week 10. But to what extent should there really be expectation on this Cleveland team as opposed to just sitting back and assuming, hey, this is just a team of transition? I think with this AFC North now, there's a lot of opportunity for some teams to maybe make a push.
I agree with you, Shane. Everything you just said. And look, I think Todd Monken's got a lot to work with. I mean, I think Andrew Berry has quietly done a very good job. Carson Schwessinger was the defensive rookie of the year last year. Never came off the field. Mason Graham was a great player. The defense was strong, but the 2 running backs last year, Quinshawn Judkins, Dylan Sampson, like the tight end, and they rebuilt the entire offensive line, 5 new starters this year. Like, I think they have, I thought the receiving core was as bad as any in the group in the league last year. And so now Jerry Jeudy was probably the best of the group, but he might not be the best of this group right now with these 2 rookies coming in. So I feel like they're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to do some things. Whoever's playing at quarterback, they're going to have some targets to throw to, a young tight end that they can count on. The defense is solid, really solid. And so there's not a lot of holes there. Like, this team should be competitive from week 1 this year. This should not be, when the schedule comes out tomorrow, Shane, and people are looking at the Cleveland Browns, like, they shouldn't be giving this team a loss in every game. Like, this team is going to be a tough out. And I feel like they're going to make a big jump this year.
Yeah, it's funny. I think your NFL Network colleague, Adam Rank, always does these things where he goes through every game for every team in the offseason. And I just wonder, on that, is he looking at the Browns as being constantly a loss, or are there a few surprising ones in there? I think they're a team who could maybe surprise people. I agree with you in your assessment there, especially with the run game, considering, what Todd Monken did at the Ravens. But let's just move on a little bit, because a lot of people are looking back and trying to see who is this year's rags to riches story. I mean, last year we saw the Patriots turning around to get to the Super Bowl. The Bears, obviously a great story. The previous year, the Washington Commanders have their own comeback to get as far as the NFC Championship game. Who do you think are a good contender right now to maybe not go worst to first, but certainly turn things around and be a lot more competitive than they were this time last year?
There's some real candidates here, Shane. I think the New York Giants are going to be very good. They lost games that they shouldn't have lost last year. They lost to Denver when they were up by 30 points. They let that slip away. They let Kansas City slip away. They left the Chicago Bears. They had that game in the fourth quarter with the lead. They lost a lot of games last year because of, some coaching decisions, some bad special teams play, but they were competitive last year. They're much better. They're bigger. They're going to be tougher. They're going to be better coached. Like, I'd like the Giants to compete in that division this year. I think they're going to be – they beat the Philadelphia Eagles last year, fair and square in the middle of the season. They lost them a couple weeks later. But, they physically, went at them pretty good. They're going to get all those Malik Neighbors, Cam Scatterboo. They're going to get these guys back. Jackson Dart, won't have to run as much as he did last year. I like the Giants. I like what I think the Minnesota Vikings can be. They quietly got to 8-9 last year with bad quarterback play. I'm not writing J.J. McCarthy off, but if Kyler Murray comes in there and plays really well, this is the best team he's been on in his career. And I think he's going to play for a contract. He's got a great head coach. He's got a good defense. He's got great targets. He's got a very good offensive line. I think Minnesota Vikings could surprise a lot of people this year, the way maybe the Chicago Bears did last year.
That's a very interesting pick. I just want to go back on just the Giants, and I agree with you. Obviously the Harbaugh bounce and the talent they have in there would make them very interesting. I just want interesting in your view though on their use of the 5th overall pick on Arbel Reese. You've a good sense as to the linebacker class and the defensive class come into this. There's a mixed opinion as to whether Reese was the right person to go for at 5. Of course, that was the feeling at the time, and then obviously hindsight changes things. Is that the kind of player who you think can really make a defensive difference in a Harbaugh Giants? Yeah, I do.
The defense got a lot better when John was in Baltimore. They traded for Roquan Smith. They've got 2 6'4+ plus linebackers playing in the middle right now. Tremaine Edmonds and Arvell Reese. It's going to be hard to layer balls in the middle of the field. You want to throw 18-yard dig routes. Good luck getting it over both those guys' heads. They've got a lot of flexibility with Arvell. He did rush the passer in certain defenses last year at Ohio State. He does have pass rush ability. But Abdul Carter really came on at the end of the season. Brian Burns was as good as anybody off the edge in this whole league last year. He's in a leadership role. Kayvon Thibodeau is fighting for a contract. They've got a chance to put a NASCAR package on the field to rush the passer and third downs that they haven't had since they won a Super Bowl with Michael Strahan and O.C. Umenor and those Justin Tuck and those guys. They've got a chance. And then offense, they've just gotten bigger. They lost, a good player, Dexter Lawrence, but they brought in, Reeder. They brought in Shelby Harris. They brought in Lecky Folk too. They brought in a lot of big guys that can serve in that capacity right now. So I feel like this team has addressed Colton Hood. I think is going to be a good corner. I feel like they've addressed a lot of weaknesses on this team, and then they've just gotten bigger, and they're going to get coached a lot harder than they've ever been coached before, and they need it right now.
Very much so. Listen, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. The last thing I just want to ask you about is just your view on the Dallas Cowboys. Again, a team with a huge amount of interest. And as we're sitting here, they're the ones that are getting all the schedule release stuff. We seem to know so much about the Cowboys schedule before we know anybody else's. Look, bringing in, fair to say, bringing in Christian Parker as defensive coordinator is going to change their view. They seem to be holding on to George Pickens so far, and the trade for Caleb Downs is catching a lot of attention. Their offense was amazing last year. Defense, not so much. Where do you see them moving here, as in what you say is going to be a very competitive division?
Christian Parker is going to be a good coach for him. He's a great teacher. He was good in Philadelphia, good with, Quinyon Mitchell and, Cooper DeJean, some of the young guys that really fit in well and really made an impact right away as rookies. He's going to help because the secondary was a mess a year ago. Look, they allowed, I'm not sure why they allowed Micah Parsons, to walk out of there without a new contract. They've been trying to replace him. They drafted Malachi Lawrence. They brought in Rashawn Gary. They drafted Donovan Ezra-Raku last year. They brought in Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark. They should be, they should have a good defense. Like, they were historically bad last year. They gave up 511 points. No Dallas Cowboy team had ever surrendered that many points before. They should be at least 100 points better, maybe 150 points better this year. And if that's the case, then offensively, they should be very good. If they keep Dak healthy, they're going to be a top 5 offense in this league. They're just that good. So if that defense comes around, Shane, they're going to compete for the division along with the Giants and the Eagles.
Very much looking forward to the season already. I can already sense it. Brian Baldinger, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And who knows, maybe if NFL Network are doing the Croke Park game in a couple of years' time, you might find yourself over on our little island. We could show you around.
I would love that. I would love it. I've only been in Ireland one time. I had a great time when I was there. Would love to be invited back.
Very much so. Brian, thank you very much for taking the time out to join us.
Okay, Shane. Take care, buddy.
Spring is packed patios, parties, wedding weekends, and RK Zero Proof keeps you in the mix without the morning after regret. As the original Zero Proof Spirits brand, RK's Warm Molecule gives you that real deal burn of whiskey or tequila with none of the alcohol, 0 calories, 0 sugar, and a whole lot of freedom to enjoy the moment. Sip smarter this season at rkzeroproof.com. That's rkzeroproof.com.
When you send a business gift, you're doing more than saying thanks. You're delivering a message, one of appreciation, recognition, and connection. With 4imprint, that message lands with certainty. From premium drinkware and apparel to tech, totes, and more, you'll find high-quality products that reflect your brand with care. Supported by 4imprint's expert service and their 360-degree guarantee, you can be 4imprint certain your gift arrives right, on time, and on brand. Explore gifting with certainty at 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
Spring is calling, weddings, patio sessions, barbecues, and you want that drink vibe without sacrificing tomorrow. That's RK Zero Proof. As the world's first Zero Proof spirits brand, RK created the Warm Molecule, giving you the smooth kick of whiskey or tequila with 0 alcohol, 0 calories, 0 sugar, and all the peace of mind you need to enjoy every moment. Step into the Zero Proof season at rkzeroproof.com.